There are days that I can speak on stage in front of hundreds of people, and there are days that I forget why I walked into my kitchen. Sometimes I lose my train of thought mid sentence, even while recording these episodes, and sometimes you've seen them. And in those moments, I get this wave of self doubt. Like, am I still sharp enough to do this? Well, today I'm diving into something people with Parkinson's don't talk enough about: cognitive function. And I want to tell you how I personally deal with it, the good days, the frustrating ones, and everything in between. Well, welcome back to Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. I'm Bryce, and if you're new here, this podcast is where I talk about the real experiences of life with Parkinson's, not the textbook version, the lived version, the real version. Well, today's episode is all about cognition, that sneaky, exhausting, frustrating side of Parkinson's that doesn't always show up on the outside, but it hits hard on the inside. You know, we talk a lot about tremors, movement, and meds, but the mental side of Parkinson's is just as real. For me, it started very subtly. I'd lose my train of thought in conversations. At first, I blamed it on stress, right? And then one day, I completely forgot the name of someone that I worked with for years, and they were standing right in front of me. It wasn't just awkward, it was scary. And that was the first time that I truly felt like Parkinson's wasn't just in my limbs, it was in my brain. So how does cognitive change show up in my daily life? Well, I'll give you a couple examples or a couple stories. There was this one time I had this live Zoom panel that I was hosting. One that I prepped for all week. And then right before I went live, I completely blanked on my intro. I sat there smiling, nodding, and inside I was scrambling to remember my own script. I recovered, but my confidence, it took a hit, right? It took a hit, and that hit stuck with me for days. Or when I spend 20 minutes looking for my keys, only to find them in the fridge next to the half-eaten yogurt, and that is a true story. These moments mess with my confidence, and they make me question my ability to function, and they make me question your identity sometime. Can you relate? Have you been there? If so, let me know in the comments. I do read them all. So I want to talk to you today about what I do about it, because this is very, very important. And I want you, that if you're going through these struggles, to really, really get these down. I'm going to give you a few points, write them down if you have to, or save this video and always, you can come back to it and watch it. But there's a few steps that I do, a few things I do to try to maintain this, try to make it better, right? So the first thing I do is I train my brain, and I train it intentionally. So every morning I do about 10 to 15 minutes of what I call brain work, right? And not complicated, just, word puzzles, memory games, or journaling, Sudoku. I like to, I like elevate and peak. And I keep a journal, just writing about my day, even if it's just a few sentences or two. And I'll be honest, I've heard in my younger days, I always heard about journaling, and journaling is not my thing, or wasn't my thing, but I find it a little cathartic to just write down a few things about my days: good things, bad things, things I want to do, things I want to dream about, things that I'm dreaming about 5 or 10 years from now. I keep them up front and centered in my life. So I feel like if you write them down, they're more real, right? It's not just saying it. You say something and it just poof, it goes away, but if you write it down, geez, I went poof, and I think I threw something in my contact. Really crazy. Anyway, I write it down, and it makes it more real, more visible, and it's there. So crazy. Anyway, and it doesn't have to be long. I don't sit there writing out a whole story or paragraph around paragraph. Some of mine are just a sentence or two, and some of mine are just even a word, like not into it today. That's true. I have a couple journal entries that say not into it today. And then I just know must have been a bad day. Anyway, but there was a stretch last year where I noticed that my word recall started dropping. I couldn't find the right words mid podcast, mid sentence, mid anything. And you've seen that. And I've said that on a few videos in the past where I've said, hey, and I got to the point, I used to edit it all the time. I used to edit them right out. I forget something, I'd edit it. And I wouldn't start recording it until I remembered it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, of course, you dummy. Let's go back and re-record that. But now I leave them in because I'm just want to be real with you, right? This isn't I've played around with this studio and try to make it nice and pretty and everything else, and cool. Hopefully, maybe it looks cool. I don't know. I just played with this with I kind of find it fun. It's a bit of a creative side of me, and it kind of makes my day. But I'm not a professional when it comes to this, so I'm sitting here saying, I just want to relate. I want you to relate with me. I want to relate with you. So why don't I just be real? So if I forget something, I just tell you I forget it. And that's great. 'Cause I love when in the comments you got everybody, puts it in there. Hey, this was the word you were thinking of. And I really do like that. It's some people said to me, I see someone said to me the other day about the comments, like, do you really like when people are telling you what you said wrong or what word you missed, and you're going like, hey, cool, thanks. They're going like, doesn't that make you upset or like whatever? I'm like, no, I like it. It's shows that people are listening and watching and wanting to be a part of what we're doing here. So that word recall though was really really tough, right? It is tough. So here's something I do to try to help with that. Okay, so I start I start writing down 3 new words a week, and I'm using them in casual conversations, and it's actually helping. I'm just grabbing 3 words, brand new words, and I'm concentrating on them. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool word, and what does that mean? And I go through it and I look at it, and then I try to slip it into a conversation. I try to use it again. So I'm forcing my memory to do it. Your memory is like a muscle, right? And the more you exercise that muscle, the stronger it's going to be, and the longer it's going to last. So exercise that muscle, that memory recall muscle. Exercise it purposely write down things to remember and keep remembering, and it's starting to help. It really is. And that's the first one. Number two, I use repetition as a form of kindness to my brain. My days follow a rhythm, right? I wake, I wait. I did a video about that. I wake and I wait for my meds to kick in, but I stretch, I eat, I rest, and I repeat. Routines used to feel like cages to me, and now they feel like a safety net. I was always that person. I hate routine. I want to just be open and go with the flow and do my own thing. And to a degree, I do. But I also put those boundaries in place, those routines in place, those repetitive routines to keep my brain like I know what comes next. I know what comes next. I know what comes next. Um, I remember once I was trying to switch up my daily schedule to stay that spontaneous type, and that lasted for about 2 days. I ended up missing my afternoon dose of pills and crashing on a Zoom call. It was crazy. So I've learned to structure I've learned that structure is my friend. Okay, is my friends. But again, I loosely structure. So I structure to a point that the things that are really important and I have to remember no matter what are in my routine. And I still allow some wiggle room to Bryce to be Bryce. And some people like that, and people close to me sometimes don't like that, but that's okay. Um, you know, and lifestyle choices. Lifestyle choices that make a difference. That's a really big part of this. Like, here's what else. Here's some of the things that mentally, okay, keep my mental. What am I trying to say? Here's what else helps me stay mentally sharp, right? So it's not so memory. Do the brain, exercise the brain, memory recall, word recall, but then you have to eat well. Hey, and I'm not talking about being a nutrition saint. I love dessert. I love ice cream actually, but I make an effort to eat leafy greens, fish, blueberries, and brain food, and I make an effort. Like I said, sometimes I'm not good at it, but I don't watch myself like a crazed, crazy calorie person or diet person or nutrition person. But I really to make an effort to make sure I get those greens, and I really make an effort to make sure that I'm eating things that are feeding me, right? I'm not just eating to live. I don't want to just eat to live. I want to live to eat, right? Does that make sense? And so when I started to shift my diet a bit, I actually noticed fewer crashes. Karma would even comment, "You seem clearer lately," and I'll take that. I really will. Um, then you have to prioritize your sleep, right? And we've talked a lot about sleep, and we all struggle with sleep. So again, you need to prioritize it out. I used to treat sleep like it was a luxury, right? And now I treat it like it's a medicine, like it's prescribed medicine. There was a week I tried pushing through on 5 hours of sleep, and that's a normal week. If I can get 4 or 5 hours, it's good, right? There's some nights that I get zero, and like you and whatnot. But again, I'm trying those hacks, and again, if you're looking for some of my little hacks I have, like my magnesium spray on my feet and and whatnot, they're always in the description below, and you can always go and see what some of the things I use that are making my life easier and better. But there's a lot of times I try pushing through on this low sleep days. But when I don't sleep that many hours. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you something. Last night I slept like 8 hours. Holy moly! It was like I woke up this morning like feeling alive and revived, and I've been going through a stretch of not feeling that well, and been just a crazy time for me. So, And the night before I didn't sleep. So last night I got 8 hours of sleep. And when I get that, right, I'm less foggy, I'm less irritable, and my brain is just not lagging like it used to or does on days that I'm not slept well. So I'm learning, I'm trying, and I want you to try along with me. I'm trying to protect those 7, 8 hours, right? Like my life depends on it, because in a way it really does. What else can we do? One of the things that I also do is I have to try to reduce my stress. Meditation isn't about lighting candles and chanting. For me, it's about 5 minutes of silence with my eyes closed and my phone away. Okay, phone away, big point. The reset helps, right? So does some people pray. Some people just do deep breathing before big conversations and meetings, and some people do a lot of other things. But whatever it is for you that actually gets your brain just to settle down, right? Just gets it to settle down and relax and live in the moment. That's one thing that when you're really stressed out, there's a lot of times, it's a lot about future fears, right? So try to live in the moment. And, I've said this before, my mentor that I had at one point, he always said, wherever you are, just be there, right? So if I'm in a moment and I'm having a conversation with Billy and I'm having you and Billy are talking, I don't want to be thinking about tomorrow, or I don't want to be thinking of what I forgot yesterday. I want to be thinking about, am I going to have a tremor soon? What time to take my meds? I want to just try to be with Billy and be focused on him and have a good conversation. And so wherever you are, be there. And so remind yourself that wherever you are, be there. And so that these type of things and these moments of 5 minutes of just to myself, eyes closed, meditation, thinking good thoughts, they really help. They really, really do. All right. What else do I do? Okay, ready for this? Social interaction equals mental fuel. Okay, something people that you totally underestimate this. Conversation is cognitive exercise. Whether I'm recording this podcast or I'm chatting with a friend or talking to someone who's newly diagnosed, it keeps my mind active. Some of my sharpest thinking actually happens during inner circle calls. Hearing other people's stories, they force me to listen, to reflect, and respond. And that, my friend, is a full mental workout. It really is. And some of you might say, what is the inner circle? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're actually a couple days away here. It's coming up this next week, where I have it's like my own personal support group. It's a Zoom. It's like a Zoom call, right? And where we go deeper. We ask questions. We talk. I talk about my life, and people ask me questions. I can help with theirs, and it's a real group. It's a group that's growing together to go further, right? And that's that I call my inner circle. And if you want to be a part of that, and get in right away, because Zoom links are going up. You don't want to miss it. It's fun. It's really reflective, and it's your time to really you and I to go a little deeper and get to know each other a little bit better. And hopefully, I can help you in this walk, and you can help me in my walk. It's all about doing life and doing it life today and doing life today together. So anyway, the link is in the description below. It's also there's a join button, I think, right on this video. Join it now and join me, and it is going to be a blast. Okay, some other things. Hacks, tech hacks, right? Got to get the tools. I got tools and links in the descriptions. But one of the things that I also use too religiously is a calendar, right? Whether it's a Google Calendar or your calendar, your phone, or whatever calendar you use, you need to use a calendar. They say if you don't schedule your day will schedule you. And if I don't schedule in my meds, I don't schedule in my things that I want to need to get done. I actually schedule in my 5 minutes of mental rest, my 15 minutes of exercise, whatever it is, I have to put in my calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, you won't respect that. And it's easy to change and not do it. So make sure you use a calendar. Whether it's an app or on your whatever you use it. Voice memos. There's another tech tap that I use. I now record voice memos. I record ideas because guess what? I don't trust myself to remember, and that stinks, because I'm telling you, I probably had the next 10 greatest podcast topics in the entire world the other night when I was lying in bed. And when I first woke in the morning, I can't remember one of them. So maybe this was one of them. Maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So I start doing these voice memos on my phone. It's just quick thing, click, boom, blah, 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 hang it up. And then I schedule my calendar the next day to always, I have listen to your voice memos from yesterday, whether it's be 5 minutes, and I go through them. And that's what I'm starting to learn for myself. And then the other thing I've done is I spent a little bit of money, but I invested in Alexa. right? So I've got these little Alexa, what do you call them? Alexa Echo Dots, I think they're called, all around the house, and I can tell her to remind me to take my meds, to prep dinner. I can tell her to remind me to take. Oh, actually, every Tuesday, 6 o'clock, it says, and it take the bins out, which means take the garbage out. So I put in a routine into Alexa, and I write, all the tasks I know, whether they're weekly or daily or even monthly. And that's every around the house. When that time comes, I get a reminder, and it's amazing because I can't tell you how many times Alexa has saved me from not taking the garbage out because I'm just like I'm scaling down. It's 8 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, or because I have it twice, 6 and 8. Because I'll 6 o'clock sometimes I'm eating, or I'm not ready to take it out, and 8 o'clock hits again. Take the garbage out, Bryce. Oh, right, boom, and I'm up and I'm taking it out. So that's been a great hack for me as well. It's basically like my second brain. It really is. And I can tell her to remind me to take my meds. So again, 3 hours, I can say, "Hey Alexa, remind me to take my meds in 2 hours." Right? And it's like, boom, gotcha. And it's amazing. So, and it doesn't be Alexa, it can be Google. I think there's Google Home does it as well. So whatever tools might work there, trust me, it really works. And when I travel, I have a checklist saved on my phone. Usually my wife actually starts the checklist and saves the note with me. And it's just a checklist. So after forgetting my meds once on a short trip, I will never do that again. So do I put my meds as a reminder? Yeah, I do. And you might be saying, who could forget their meds? This guy, and probably you sometime, or maybe in the future. But it's just so important. So make sure you do that for sure. All right, what else do I do? Well, another thing that we need to do is this. I've done a couple of cognitive assessments, right? Not because I was panicking, but because I wanted to know where I stood. I wanted to baseline myself. It helped me adapt. It helps me to adapt better. That's the way my brain works. But I also have talked to a mentor, or someone who's, it could be a counselor, it could be but mine, I call mine a mentor, and I talk to them, and sometimes when I talk, it's life can get overwhelming. So I need someone to blow that steam off with, or somebody to get frustrated with, because I am Mr. Positive. Trust me, I'm the glasses half full guy all the time, but there are days that aren't great, and I find it easier to have somebody, a go-to person, right? Whether it be a mentor, whether it be a good person, a good friend, but it has to be somebody who's going through Parkinson's, or because who gets you better than someone who's going through Parkinson's? I really think that when people say they understand, if you don't have Parkinson's, I don't really think you can really. So you make sure it's somebody with Parkinson's, and someone you can just like rant on, and they're not going to judge you, and they're not going to scold you, and they're not going to like also placate you, like it's going to be okay. I get it. No, it's just someone that just lets me do my thing, lets me rant, and then when we're done, we're like, hey, are we done? Are we good? Boom, let's get over this. Let's get going. Okay, it's like I don't know like how to say this right, but like sometimes the fog isn't from dopamine, it's just from being overwhelmed. That brain fog, that I blame it on Parkinson's, and we do, and it is part of it. But sometimes being overwhelmed in life translates to brain fog. So get that out and make sure you have an outlet for that, for sure. But if you feel like your brain is betraying you, that's the time to talk to someone. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means that you're paying attention, and that's very powerful. And yeah, you know what? This stuff is hard. It really is. It's embarrassing when you forget your names of somebody, or you stumble on words, or you zone out in the middle of a conversation, or you freeze and everybody's looking at you. But I've learned this. Okay, this is really important. I may lose track of thoughts, but I haven't lost myself. I may need more tools, but I still have more to give. There's humor, there's strength, and there's humanity in navigating brain fog with grace. There really is. So that's how I approach the cognitive side of Parkinson's. It's not perfect, but it's working. And if you got your own brain hacks, your routines, or a story, I want to hear about it. Drop in the comments. Let's build a brain trust together. And again, if you want to go deeper, join the inner circle. That's where we have those real off script conversations, live Zoom support, ideas, and lots of laughs. And the link is below to join. So thanks for listening or watching. Thanks for staying sharp, even when it's hard. And thanks for doing life today.